Look at this image, a dog pulling an airplane like a strongman. Is it possible? Well, so far only robot dogs can do it, but some living breeds are surprisingly powerful as well. Check out how a Kangal, a Pit Bull, and a St. Bernard pull cars. They're definitely some of the strongest dogs, and even one of the strongest animals on the planet. And which other creatures from the world of fauna are super strong? You'll find it out in this episode about top 10 strongest animals in the world. Let's go! Eagle. Let's start with the less strong ones, and first up is the eagle. Although it's less strong only in today's episode, and in many respects this is my opinion, objectively it's the strongest of the flying birds. Eagles are very large, have incredible eyesight, and developed instincts that allow them to soar beautifully through the air and hunt effectively. I would call the South American harpy eagle the strongest eagle. Firstly, it's the largest eagle on the planet. Some individuals weigh 20 pounds, which is a lot for a flying bird. Secondly, harpy eagles specialize in very large prey, which are usually larger than themselves. These are usually sloths and monkeys. And harpy eagles do not just kill them on the ground and eat them there. They fly up to the prey, grab it with their powerful talons, and fly with it through the air to their nest. The prey can do nothing about this grip, even if it chose to slip away so that it could crash to the ground and not become the harpy eagle's dinner. It wouldn't be able to do so. The harpy eagle's grip is dead in every sense. Zebra. If the eagle still looks logical in such an episode, what's the zebra doing here, you may ask me? After all, this is a herbivorous animal, in fact an ordinary wild horse with stripes. What's special about it? Actually, zebras are not as simple as they seem and are extremely interesting. But today, I'd like to say just one thing. They are the best in kicking technique among animals. More specifically, the zebra has the strongest leg kick in the world. It's about 3,000 pounds. This is much stronger than the kick of even the best MMA fighter. And given the zebra's hard hooves, such a kick is completely fatal. Or at least it can end up with a brutal knockout. Many animals, including lions, have already known this. When predators hunt zebras, these striped taekwondo fighters kick them with all their might. Not even a strong kick can knock out a lion, or at least knock it down. And if it's very strong, the zebra can break the huge cat's skull. Atlantic Goliath grouper. This fish looks like it's always in a bad mood and ready to eat someone. That's not far from the truth. The Atlantic Goliath grouper, also known as the Jewfish, is a very large fish. It can reach 8.2 feet in length and weigh up to 1,000 pounds. Of course, average individuals are smaller, but this doesn't prevent them even from attacking sharks. Yeah, the Atlantic Goliath grouper is one of those fish that does this. What's more, Atlantic Goliath groupers very often feed specifically on sharks. Not great white sharks or tiger sharks, of course, but that's just because of their size. The Atlantic Goliath grouper has a lot of strength, and if it were several times bigger, it would definitely be a nightmare for great white sharks. We shouldn't relax either. Atlantic Goliath groupers do not like divers and often pounce on them. There's nothing particularly good in this, because nobody would like to face the aggression of this powerful predator. Anaconda. When you look at the footage featuring anacondas, you begin to doubt that this snake is real. I mean, a slithering creature weighing over 220 pounds with a length of up to 16, 20, and according to some reports, 33 feet? It's too much. But nature knows how to surprise us. Officially, the anaconda is not the longest snake. The reticulated python is considered to be one. But in terms of weight, it is the undisputed leader. Anacondas are very massive and strong, and being non-venomous animals, they use their body to neutralize their prey. The squeezing force of the anaconda is 227 psi. Imagine that you put a kettlebell on your fingernail. This is approximately how the anaconda squeezes its prey. Only it's not just one fingernail that suffers, it's the whole body. With the help of its deadly rings, the anaconda can easily break even a crocodile. If you remember how strong crocodiles themselves are and what strong armor they have, then you begin to fear the anaconda even more. But these snakes don't attack humans. Almost. It can only happen if one pisses off an anaconda a lot, or tries to put them on like a necklace. So far, all the animals I've shown you have been strong in one thing. The anaconda is strong in squeezing, the Atlantic Goliath grouper is strong in attacking sharks, the eagle is strong in lifting heavy prey, and the zebra is strong in kicking. The next beast, however, is good at several aspects at once, and that is the hippo. A real menace of Africa and a terror in the flesh. And that's how you can call this giant. By the way, despite the fact that hippos are very large, and from the looks of it, they're very thick, they're surprisingly fast. In the water, hippos swim at a speed of 4 to 8 miles per hour, and on land, it accelerates to 19 miles per hour. To run away from it, you need to be a top athlete, otherwise there's no chance. When the hippo catches up with its prey, it begins to use its teeth. Hippos are facultative predators, that is, they eat grass, but on occasion they can eat meat. But it bites not only to eat, but also to finish the enemy off. That's what these territorial creatures do to intruders. When you watch how hippos crush watermelons and pumpkins with just one bite, you understand it's definitely worth staying away from these chubby creatures. By the way, they don't even always need teeth. An average hippo weighs 1.5 to 2 tons, which makes it a tank in the animal world. It can just run and hit a car and leave a big dent in it. Or it can just lightly hit a boat from underwater and almost flip it over. It's creepy to even imagine what it would do to a human in such a case. Grizzly. What bear is stronger, the grizzly bear or the polar bear? This is an eternal debate, and in fact it's hard to say for sure. But scientists have conducted a study and found out that grizzly bears are stronger than their northern relatives on a number of factors. These bears are strong in general, so much so that they say that the grizzly's bite force is enough to bite a bowling ball in half. Personally, I believe it, given the size and fangs of the predator. As for the size, grizzly bears can grow up to 10 feet in height and weigh 1,100 pounds. Although in nature, such individuals are not so common, but all individuals have very long and sharp claws, which are up to 6 inches long. This is more than enough to teach an offender a lesson or get the prey. And if it runs away, it has little chance to escape. The grizzly is also good in running. The bear accelerates up to the limit of 35 miles per hour on a flat surface. So it can catch up with almost any animal, let alone humans. We're very slow for the grizzly. Saltwater crocodile. The most dangerous crocodile, the largest representative of the crocodile order, as well as the largest land predator on the planet. That's how many titles it has. I think I could have finished here because such a beast simply cannot help but be one of the strongest in the world, but let's take a look at it in greater detail. The saltwater crocodile, which lives in Southeast Asia and Australia, is a real threat to everyone. The reptile grows up to 23 feet in length and weighing up to 2 tons. As you understand, such a monster simply cannot have enemies, as it itself can choose any target for lunch. This crocodile is characterized by incredible aggression, tenacity, persistence, and desire to go to the end. But its main weapon is its teeth and jaws. The saltwater crocodile is the holder of another title, the most powerful bite in the world, at least among land animals. A large crocodile of this species bites with a force of more than 34,000 newtons. For comparison, the great white shark has this value of 16,000 less, and a human bites about 22 times weaker. The saltwater crocodile is so strong that it doesn't chew bones but grinds them, turning them literally into powder. I'm not even talking about meat and tissue. Although the saltwater crocodile is very, very strong, there is still one animal it wouldn't want to mess with. It's an animal that very few animals and people want to mess with. I'm talking about the elephant. If we're talking about pure strength and not any specific values, it has no equals on land. After all, if you're the largest land creature and weigh 5 to 6 tons, you simply can't be weak. Only rarely do some predators attack elephants, but more out of desperation. No predator in their right mind would lunge at such a huge creature. The elephant is very muscular. In its trunk alone, there are 100,000 muscles, about 100 times more than in the entire human body. With its trunk, the elephant can lift heavy logs or hold a human without much effort. If it uses the whole body, it can do real miracles. For example, it can work on the farm, helping farmers to lift what they would never have lifted themselves. In many Asian farms, the elephant is an indispensable assistant. But elephants can not only help but also spoil. Their strength is enough to drop and uproot even a large tree in a few seconds. And if the elephant is furious, then it'll attack everything. Elephants often smash and flip cars, doing it with ease. And sometimes they can even demolish an entire settlement, destroying many houses. This has happened before. Blue whale. And here's the underwater leader in terms of size, and the leader among all animals in general. The blue whale is the largest animal in history, and it impresses with many things, including its strength. It's difficult to assess its strength because the blue whale doesn't uproot trees and doesn't cause chaos in villages. But scientists have reason to believe that whales are among the most powerful creatures on the planet. Firstly, the ability of the blue whale to suck in several tons of water and krill at once is impressive. And secondly, the power generated by the whale's body is 600 horsepower. This is comparable to many powerful sports cars, which means that it's simply impossible to call the blue whale a weak creature. But it's no champion either. If we play fair and match an animal's strength to its size, all the creatures I've told you about today lose to one animal. Interestingly enough, it's much smaller than them. There it is! Did everyone recognize the dung beetle? It's this seemingly unremarkable beetle which always pushes a dung ball that's considered the strongest among all animals. Simple calculations are enough to understand it. The beetle itself weighs only a couple of grams, while the ball it rolls weighs 50 grams. That is 25 times heavier than it is. But this isn't even close to the maximum that the dung beetle can demonstrate. Scientists conducted an experiment with a thread that was glued to the elytra of the beetle and thrown over a block. A container was attached to the opposite end of the thread, where the scientists added water drop by drop. As a result, the scientists found out that the dung beetle is able to hold a load, the mass of which is equivalent to 1,141 of its body weight. Is a whale or an elephant capable of such a thing? Of course not. And now imagine, you and your family are traveling in your car, enjoying the views when suddenly your way is blocked by one of these strong animals. Get ready further in this episode. You'll see Car versus Animals compilation. Giraffes. Giraffes are harmless enough, but at the same time extremely curious creatures. See for yourself how this family went out by car on safari, and this giant looked into their cabin. It didn't want to hurt anyone, but was just looking for something to eat. The zebra decided to do the same thing and peeked through another window. Maybe it was Marty and Melman from Madagascar, but such peeks don't always end well. Here, for instance, the giraffe peeked into the cabin too. The girl should have sat still and done nothing, but she closed the window for some reason. The giraffe got uncomfortable, broke free, and shattered the glass. Fortunately, it only ended up with a broken glass. Neither the giraffe nor the girl cut themselves. In general, giraffes can do other damage to a car. That's what happened to this group of tourists on safari. The giraffe was running beside them and at some point cut in front of the off-roader to block the road. The result was a small dent and a scratch. And that's lucky because giraffes usually weigh more than a ton, so even a small collision can severely damage the car. But the rhino does it much better. It's not for nothing that it's often compared to a living tank. It weighs more than 2 tons, sharp horn, power, and eternally bad mood make it a real killer. In addition, rhinos have poor eyesight, so they often mistake cars for enemies and attack them. For example, here a rhino encountered a driver in its way. It was clearly guarding the area and didn't want anyone to pass through here. The beast makes a warning lunge, raising dust, but the driver doesn't leave. The rhino backs away as if to let him pass, but in fact prepares to attack. As soon as the car starts moving, the rhino rams it and scares the driver. And this giant did not like a white SUV with tourists, so it ran and with all its might flew into the side. Even the multi-ton SUV staggered from such a blow. The giant jabbed the car with its horn one more time, realizing that it posed no danger, and calmed down. But it's not always like this. In Germany, they filmed eerie footage of a rhino overturning the car. See for yourself how dashingly it handles it. It rolls it around like a toy. But the creepiest thing was that a safari park employee was in the car at the time. It seemed that after such flips, she was left with at least a dozen broken bones. But surprisingly, she got away with only a few bruises. But the car apparently had to be taken to a salvage yard. And here we can see a real duel between a rhino and a car. Apparently it's some kind of performance because there are spectators gathered behind the fence. This rhino is much calmer than its congener from the previous video. It hit the pickup truck only once, but even that was enough to lift the heavy car. Bull. Speaking of shows, the next animal from this episode, a bull, wreaked havoc during a show. In the midst of the Spanish festival, it ran out into the street and attacked a car in which a family with children was sitting. Hooking the front of the car with its horns, the enraged animal tried to overturn it. Fortunately, the giant horned creature failed to do so and the family was okay. Nevertheless, the animal damaged the hood and the fender and also the engine, from which the liquid spurted out. And this is the footage from India, where the bull is dealing with a small white car. This giant is clearly stronger than its Spanish hot-blooded congener. It picked up the car with its horns and held it for several seconds. However, it couldn't turn it upside down either. And again, we're in India. It turns out that bulls don't like not only cars, but also motorcycles. A guy gets on his bike, is about to ride out, when suddenly he sees two bulls rushing towards him. They literally swept the bike and the guy off and then ran away. Luckily, the biker was lucky. He got away with a couple of bruises. It may seem that these bulls were always provoked by something, and that may be true. But the next video shows that bulls don't need provocation. If they don't like a car, they'll attack it. This car was just standing quietly with no driver inside, but the bull attacked it anyway, causing damage to the doors. Only after a couple of minutes, the bull was chased away. Someone threw a jug at it, and the animal calmed down. Buffalo. Other bulls are next in line. As a rule, buffaloes are more dangerous than ordinary domestic bulls and even fearsome bulls which participate in bullfights because they're of enormous size and have a particularly aggressive disposition. You don't feel safe around buffaloes, even in the car. For example, here a small group of buffaloes stopped a white car on the road and didn't let it pass. As soon as the driver began to move, one of the buffaloes with all its might flew into the car. Apparently, it learned it from the rhinos. And again, we have a situation on the road. A group of buffaloes encountered people on safari and were not happy about it. One of the giants blocked the road and then started ramming the SUV. It pushed it with all its might, as if to tell the people that they were not welcome here and that they should leave as soon as possible. Although buffaloes are herbivorous animals, they are, as you can see, extremely dangerous. And there are even more dangerous herbivores, the hippo. This huge beast is also territorial and does not like intruders. It runs at speeds up to 19 miles per hour, so even in a car you can't always escape from it. However, sometimes this happens. But usually if the car is near the hippo, it has time to damage it, as for example in this case. The driver should have put his foot to the floor and rushed past the hippo, but he stopped and became an easy target. The giant ran at him and did a head-on collision. The hippo's head weighs up to 2,000 pounds, so it's not surprising that the dent was like after a collision with a real car. And this hippo does two things at once. Tries to get free from the lionesses and spoils the SUV. In this case, the hippo's teeth are in action. This beast has very long and sharp teeth, as well as a wide mouth, so it was able to damage the hood. By the way, maybe those lionesses were friends of the hippos and they persuaded it to calm down. What do you think? Okay, actually they were hunting it, and apparently they eventually got the upper hand. The hippo shouldn't have wasted its strength on the SUV. But these giants attack not only cars, but also boats. Don't forget that they also feel great in the water. In rivers and lakes, they reach speeds up to 8 miles per hour, so they can kick the bottom of the boat and turn it upside down. So on African rivers, it's worth to travel on reliable and heavy boats. Ordinary fishing boats are no match for an enraged hippo. It may seem that hippos, rhinos, and buffaloes love to crash cars more than others, but practice shows that elephants have no equal in this respect. Thanks to their colossal size, elephants can wreck any car in no time at all. Here, for example, an elephant had eyes on a gray car. It rammed it, breaking the left mirror, kicked the wheel, and then sat down on the hood. Finally, the giant got up on the car and smashed the windshield. Only a few actions, but how much damage? At least it didn't trample on the driver. Here's a similar case, but the elephant only handles the left side of the car, pushing it with its body. After that, it rested on the trunk, broke the windows, and only then left the driver alone. The next situation is somewhat similar to the one in which the hippo did the head-on collision on the African road. First, the elephant wouldn't give a pass and then ran to the car and hit the hood with its tusks. The elephant then pushed the car for a few more seconds before walking away. How you like this kind of damage? A similar thing happened on this safari. An enraged elephant attacked the car and damaged it. Fortunately, it didn't finish the job and the driver was able to escape. And this elephant took it out on cars for all its congeners. At one of India's festivals, this elephant went on a rampage and started smashing everything around it. First, it took on motorcycles and scooters, and then it moved on to the car. The elephant did a pretty good job on the car, destroying it to the ground and completely crushing it in 1 minute. This video clearly shows how strong elephants are. Not only do they smash cars, but even houses. For example, in India in 2016, an angry giant destroyed more than 100 houses. With a slight movement of the trunk, the giant demolished brick and wooden structures like houses of cards. In the end, almost the entire village had to be rebuilt, all because of one ferocious giant. Finally, elephants even attack trains or chase them. In this case, the train drivers have to make adjustments to the schedule because no one wants to run over elephants. Such are these giants. And someone still thinks that elephants are safe and harmless animals. Elephant seal. Elephant seals are not very fond of cars either. In fact, they're seals, and the only thing they have in common with regular elephants is the name. They owe it to the trunk-like nose of the males. However, they're similar to elephants in size. Elephant seals are also very large, so they can even deal with a big car. This is just such footage. An elephant seal hits someone's pickup truck, funny, and a few minutes later takes on a car. It looks fun rather than intimidating. Just imagine going out to the parking lot after a hard day, walking to your car, and seeing it be hit by an elephant seal. What would your reaction be? Write in the comments. And the finale for today is the American bison, another hoofed giant. These are similar in size to African buffaloes and behave in a similar way. For example, here the bison did not like the Mazda, so before letting it pass, one of the giants bumped it. All in all, nothing scary or dangerous. It's much more dangerous when there's a whole herd of bison on the road. There were so many of them that they couldn't squeeze between their own congeners. Some had to run into cars, including the car of the author of the video. The result was a broken windshield. In general, this is not uncommon in American national parks. That's all, guys. Which moment from this episode surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and see you later.